Hello and welcome along to the F1 Esports Series Pro Championship 2021, presented by Aramco. I am not Tom Deacon, I'm Matt Gallagher, and I'm filling in for Tom, who's on some other business. Now, the last event had a lot of action, a lot of drama, a lot of overtakes, but I feel like yesterday may have topped it.
The British Grand Prix is underway. Rasmussen leading from the front.
Daniel Ricciardo all the way around the outside into Stowe. What a fantastic move.
Rasmussen to the outside and will take his first victory of the season. Here we go then, racing in Monza. Oh, look at that! Danny Moreno on the inside up to P2. That is unbelievable from the Mercedes driver. Marcel Kiefer has dominated from the front, but he comes over the line to win the Italian Grand Prix.
I'm delighted to introduce my co-host for the evening, senior writer and editor for Formula One, Lawrence Barretto. Lawrence, welcome to the show. How does it feel to be in the hot seat at Esports?
No pressure, Matt. Nastily sitting here, I feel like I've got big shoes to fill.
You've got great shoes. I've seen you in the paddock. They're amazing, and the lights are very bright, aren't they? But welcome to Esports. How much have you seen of Esports? I saw you on the sim rig earlier on today, and maybe a few tips needed there, but are you a fan of the gaming side of things?
I gave it a go. Let's just say I was a Mario Kart fan when I was younger. I probably haven't excelled to the pro level on the game, but as I said, I gave it a go. Probably didn't complete a lap that didn't get a time deleted, but you know.
No, I saw that. I saw it, and
Thanks.
thankfully, there's the shoes that I was mentioning. A brilliant pair that you've brought for the show today. How many pairs do you actually have in?
52 pairs.
Amazing, and that's just for one
And they're
year.
all brightly coloured as well.
So, of course, you've followed the Formula One calendar. How has it been? Of course, Formula One has been unbelievable this season. Have you had a second to take a breath?
Well, I'm hoping I don't look too jet-lagged. I was lucky enough to go to Austin at the weekend, and that was just one of 17 or 18 races this year that have been fantastic. And I think there are lots of parallels to compare between the real life and the Esports Championship. I think the quality of racing in esports, the closeness of the racing is being replicated in that battle between Lewis and Max this year. And hopefully we're going to end up with a title decider, and it's been years since I've been able to say that.
Absolutely. Now, we will be reflecting on everybody's action yesterday. So here's the countdown clock for when we'll be showing you the live race around the Belgian Grand Prix circuit at Spa. So there you go, you can set your timers. What's your experience been at Belgium circuit and Spa?
Most of the times I've been to Spa, it's rained, Matt. So I've always had some wellies or an umbrella, but it's a phenomenal circuit. I think it's the longest still on the calendar. A real driver challenge. You talk to drivers and they always talk about Eau Rouge, looking up at the sky as they go up. And then that long Kemmel straight over to Lickham. There's so many opportunities for mistakes, but for overtaking, and generally speaking, it's always good racing.
Now, if you missed yesterday, firstly, where were you? But let's take a look at what happened at Silverstone.
5 lights are coming on now, and once they go out, we'll be underway. The British Grand Prix is underway, and here we go then. Freddie Rasmussen leading from the front, and it seems as though he is leading into turn 1. He is indeed. Barry Burman up to P3, fighting Lucas Blakely, but it is Freddie leading in that amazing-looking Red Bull, with Nicholas Longate following him through into turn 3. Who else is making moves? Danny Moreno up to P5. There's a yellow flag in sector 1. Who is falling down the field? Daniele Haddad down to P13. Jarno Opmeer already up to 12th position, Nick, and it's a great start from the championship leader.
Into the pits for Nicholas Longate.
Longate and Burman into the pits already, so they are going for a very aggressive strategy on the soft tyres. Tyre wear not particularly high around this circuit, and Freddie Rasmussen, crucially, nearly a second ahead of Lucas Blakely after those pit stops. Can he break DRS? That'll be pretty good for Freddie. Let's take a look at a replay now of Jarno Opmeer and how he lost a position on track. And there's a bit of contact with Donoso into Stowe Corner. I wonder if the stewards have anything to say about that. Freddie Rasmussen, Lucas Blakely, a lot of the drivers, in fact, into the pits now. It's a very slow pit lane, isn't it, Nick?
It is indeed. You're almost just waiting for an absolute age. Gives you, as a driver, to relax a little bit. As we're now looking at Longay going defensive from Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo all the way around the outside into Stowe. What a fantastic move. Can Nicholas Longay come back at him? The answer is no. Daniel Ricciardo, what a fantastic move.
Will he try a move? He's got a lot. He activates his battery, And he's going to have a little look, I think, of Nicolas Longuet, who's also deploying his battery and maybe a little bit faster in a straight line as well as Nicolas. And he can defend quite easily. Moreno doesn't go for the move, but Nicolas does up the inside. Side by side, Danny Moreno just holding on. And now Blakely to the outside. Surely not, that is not going to work for Blakely this time around. And remember, simulation damage, they have to be so careful with their front wing. Oh, there's a move in the background there. Marcel Kiefer going up the inside of Burman for P8 at the moment. They're still going to be side by side as we head into Luffield. Who's going to come out on top? Surely there's not going to be much space for Kiefer. Whoa. There isn't. There's all kinds of squirreling going on in the background. And he's going to look to the inside, then to the out. He's going to try and swing it all the way round the outside. Blakely, surely not. He'll have the inside line for the next corner. And that is a brilliant move from Lucas Blakely, who then finally gets through on Nicolas Longuet. Finally, Moreno to the inside, takes what will be the lead over Freddie Rasmussen into Stowe Corner. He's decided he wants to lead from the front.
Lucas Blakely is closer than he's ever been, I would say. Down here, is he going to be close enough to make a move?
Oh, Freddie's going to look to the inside instead for the lead. So is he going to get past? No, he's not. Danny Moreno holds on just about late on the brakes. And now Lucas Blakely is smelling an opportunity. Does he look to the inside? No, he does not. No positions changed between the front three, but it looked like Freddie Rasmussen wanted to make the move. We head through Copse for the final time. Moreno still leading from Freddie Rasmussen and Lucas Blakely. Surely Rasmussen is going to have a go down towards Stowe Corner. He's just going to have to get a good exit. He's very close to the Mercedes, but as is Lucas Blakely as well. Here comes Freddie Rasmussen. Will he go for the lead here? Moreno goes to the inside now, and then Rasmussen to the outside with the use of DRS, just flies all the way round him. Moreno, no defence offered whatsoever, and Lucas Blakely may well try a dive bomb into the final few corners, decides against it. Freddie Rasmussen has cruised past Danny Moreno on that final lap and will take his first victory of the season in the Red Bull. Freddie Rasmussen wins the British Grand Prix. Lucas Blakely somehow got ahead of Danny Moreno for P2 right at the death. Danny Moreno could not offer any defence, and you can see him there, gutted, maybe wanted a bit better of an exit out of Maggots and Beckett's, but still.
Well, thank you very much, Matt and Nick. As you can see in front of you, Freddie Rasmussen, the winner of that race at Silverstone, and I believe I'm being told now there was a timing error, so in fact, as Matt was alluding to, that Lucas Blakely finished P2. He doesn't. It's Danny Moreno who finishes P2. So he did look disappointed, didn't he, James? But you know what? At the end of the day, he finishes P2. 18 points for him. Davidson, it's down in 10th, getting that 1 point.
Oh, that's lovely to hear from Tom Deacon. That was quite a nice little thing to hear from him. Lawrence, Silverstone was incredible, wasn't it? There was so much action, and at the end of it, Freddie Rasmussen winning the race.
It was super smart of him, wasn't it, to save some of that energy right till the end. And we've seen that in the real world with Max saving some tyres in Austin to have enough to defend Lewis when he was cutting back. What I was really impressed with was just there's so much action in that race. Silverstone, ever since they changed the layout, they moved the start-finish. You've got action, multiple corners, and what I was loving in that race is there was lots of guys always kind of chasing each other. You got to move done, it wasn't complete.
So what have you noticed that you can kind of compare between the real drivers and the esports drivers in terms of, because mentality is something we've spoken about a lot, you know, the fact that they have to prepare not just physically and, you know, putting in laps, but also the mental side as well.
You can see the amount of pressure that it puts on these guys, and they're taking it super seriously, and I think you can draw synonyms between that and the real world. The amount of training that they put in, the amount of time that they put in on the game, it's not exactly the same, of course it isn't, because it's not real life, but it is as close as you can get in the virtual world. And you can see when someone wins, generally speaking, maybe not earlier to date, you can see how much it means to them to win, and I think that's what's the most impressive.
Now let's take a look at the Moreno overtake and what went on there, because this was on lap 6 of 18, going side by side into Stowe Corner. This was unbelievable to watch because he just managed to clear all the way round the outside of Longuet and clearly making a move and getting that psychological kind of feeling that, you know what, I can go round the outside and I'm going to put my statement of intent, because I know Danny didn't win the race in the end, but finishing P2. I know there's a little timing glitch in there, but it was still a great result for him and sets him up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think overtaking around the outside of any corner at any circuit is never an easy thing. And throughout that race, Danny looked really strong. He looked like he was after it, and it was unfortunate that it kind of worked out that he did obviously lose that position, lose the lead in the end. But he was the one who really went after it, and if he continues to do that for the rest of the season, that's always going to put him on the front foot as he goes on the attack.
And we've got a move from Lucas Blakely as well that we can take a look at. And this was lap 10, following Nicholas Longay, and he's going to go all the way around the outside. He tries it up the inside. He thinks, you know what, I'll go all the way around the outside, which gives him the inside line for the next corner. Lucas is a driver that, you know, we've always wanted to do well. He's been part of F1 Esports since it pretty much began. But finally, this season, he has somehow clicked everything, and it's working so well for him. And we saw in qualifying early today as well, there was a lot of pressure on him, and he still managed to perform. How is it that, you know, he's clicked so well? Is it that mental side of things that you think that this really helps to improve performance?
Well, firstly, on that move, what I really liked is he would have set that up several corners before, so it's always thinking about what you're going to be doing in the future, not just immediately. And I think when you're thinking like that, that's always going to put you in a very strong position when you're attacking. I think confidence comes from experience, and he's obviously clocked up a number of races now, and we're seeing in the real world, Yuki Tsunoda really struggled in the early part of this season as a rookie, only 2 years international single-seater experience. And now he's starting to come good in the second half of the season. He's got used to the team, he's got used to the circuits that he's obviously hasn't raced at before, he's got used to his teammate, he's got used to the way that Formula 1 works. And I guess the more time you spend doing your trade, you're just going to get better and better.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to leave you there, Lawrence, because I'm going to go speak to someone that was in part of the show yesterday.
Go for it.
Now, James Baldwin. He was part of the F1 Esports series before, and we've got him once again on the touchscreen. James, thank you firstly for accepting our calls.
My pleasure.
Coming back again. You've got some Silverstone talking points for us, because there was a lot that went on that we weren't really able to digest yesterday.
Exactly, and it's always nice to look through things in depth. What we got first then. So, penultimate lap of the race, and this is Freddie behind Danny. At this point, what is he, about 3.5 temps going onto the hanger straight. He's using all of his overtake, his ERS, you can see there in the bottom right-hand corner. He chooses halfway down the straight to stop using it, so he doesn't want to overtake. So clearly, he doesn't want to overtake on the penultimate lap. He's saving it for that final lap. On the last lap, lap 18, he's closer, first of all. If you look on the exit, you'll see Danny Moreno. It's a micro mistake, but he gets the rear out. That costs him a little bit of time down the hanger straight. Freddie's got loads of battery. He's going to use it down the whole straight, as opposed to stopping halfway down it. It's an easy overtake. So with that, of course, the energy battle is something we've seen throughout pretty much. It's always about trying to save just 1% here or there during the race. And of course, when it's that train as well, it's just always about trying to hold back at the right times and then attacking right at the end like we saw with Freddie. Exactly. You know, Danny had a bit of battery, but the micro mistake, Freddie was closer anyway. It was inevitable, you know? Yeah, absolutely. So is this something we're going to see throughout every single race that we have on the calendar this year? Do you think that it's maybe more important on some other like power tracks, Spa, for example, coming up? Is the energy deployment going to be even more important at a track like that compared to maybe a more tight and twisty circuit? Yeah, 9 times out of 10, that's what it comes down to. He's got the most battery. But if you have a better pace, you can afford to save more battery. But there are some scenarios where, like Freddie, you know, sometimes he pulls away and he's got the gap. You know, it depends. If there's a train, though, it always comes down to the battery. So I guess the final question from me is, if Danny Moreno didn't drop a wheel just slightly onto the grass, would he have gotten away with it and maybe taken the victory? It would have been closer. It was a micro mistake. It probably didn't cost him that much, but it certainly didn't help him, you know. Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, James. After the break, we will be reflecting on the amazing race at the Temple of Speed.
So we're gonna do the teammate challenge where we are gonna see if we know each other well.
Say your final answer.
For me, it's Jarno.
Final answer? Yeah. I think that's everyone's. I mean.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Final answer, Suzuka. Yeah. I need to think. Wait, don't give me your answer. Let me think. Okay, go.
Inception?
No. I mean, it's just Star Wars in general. I just love Star Wars. Well,
wait, it's not, it's...
Don't tell me anything. Don't tell me anything. The thing is, you probably have some secret one that you never shared. The one you listen to always is, well, with us, is Sfera or PNL. I want to go PNL.
Yeah, it's PNL.
Yeah, okay.
French group. Well, he was at school.
Yeah, that's it. I was too young. I would say stay in Switzerland. No? Or
Japan.
Japan's a good shout. Japan's a good shout.
Fun.
Yeah.
All the cars, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Unbeatable.
I would join you. Let's get a place together.
Welcome back. Before the break, we saw that Jarno Opmeer's strategy didn't pay off for him at Silverstone yesterday, but our reigning champ has carried on his devastating form from last year in 2021's opening races. I was fortunate enough to catch up with him at Mercedes Silver Arrows Lounge last week ahead of Event 2. Let's take a look.
The moment has arrived for Jarno Opmeer, who takes the F1 Esports title of 2020.
Jarno, great to see you. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We're in the beautiful Silver Arrow Lounge, so enjoying myself.
It's not the worst backdrop in the world.
No, it's very nice. A lot of trophies, nice car. So,
speaking of trophies, how has it been becoming an F1 Esports champion? Has life changed?
Yeah, it's very nice, of course. I won the championship. I never got a trophy. I don't know where the trophy went, but it's a bit unfortunate. I never got it. We need to go after that, actually.
You are watching one of the great drives of F1 Esports.
Now let's reflect on China, Jarno. Probably, well, at least from my perspective, the best F1 Esports drive ever. How do you reflect on what was a ridiculously crazy race?
Yeah, it was my best F1 Esports race ever, maybe my best race ever.
Against all the odds, it's 14th to 1st.
It's stunning. It's an unbelievable drive.
I remember just before the race, I also selected the wets, and I think 10 seconds before the start, I was like, I've seen this scenario. Is it okay if I start on the intermediates? And then he was like, are you sure? Because I don't think this is going to work. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure, I'm going to try it. What's there to lose? Because we're only starting P14 anyway.
Opmeer gambled on the intermediate tyre, and somehow he made it work when everyone was on full wets.
After 3 or 4 laps where the time started to become equal with the wet runners, I of course was, I think, 16 seconds behind the leader, but then they need to make the pit stop. And yeah, after a few laps we knew as well that the tires were going to make it to the end. And then it dried up, which was a bit of a shock. Didn't expect it to dry up. And then I had to get past Denozo again. But yeah, that was not too hard, luckily.
Jarno Opmeer's going for it! Extraordinary stuff! Opmeer back at the head of the field.
How do you, coming up to events, both physically and mentally prepare yourself for the intense pressure that you have to go through? Because, you look back at the first year of F1 Esports to now, it's changed so much.
Yeah, I feel like the level has increased a lot from 2019 to 2020. Not sure if it was because everyone was driving from home. Maybe they're a bit more comfortable at home than on the live events, but I think everyone has improved.
Where do you pinpoint your particular personal improvement as to why you've stepped it up?
I think it's quite obvious from 2019 to 2020, strategies have improved for me as well, a lot. Now with the help of the engineers in 2021, it has stepped up even more. And I think qualifying from 2019 to 2020 was a big improvement. Very often I was starting P12 in 2019 and to find my way up to the front, and now I'm starting top 5. It becomes a lot easier to get on the podium or get a win.
You are actually one of the only drivers to have won in 3 different teams, and you're 1 win away from being the all-time record holder for the amount of wins in F1 Esports. Do these kind of records motivate you at all, or do you just kind of think, well, whatever?
I want to set the benchmark, of course. That'll be very cool. I think in the next few years there are going to be lots of records broken. F1 Esports is very new, of course, and even in real life F1, which has been existing for the past 70 years, there's still records broken all the time. So I want to set the benchmark, definitely, yeah.
Absolutely great to hear from Jarno Opmeer there, Lawrence. He's actually done some real-life racing in the past, and he's now come to esports because he didn't have enough money, and that's something that a lot of drivers have. Who does he remind you of in the Formula One world as someone who's coming through the ranks and he's won a championship?
Yeah, I think the way that he's been performing from last year into this year, I think the most obvious comparison to make is Lewis Hamilton, and that's not just because he's racing for the same team. I think the way that he's approaching the racing this year, he was talking in that interview about strategy being so important. He was talking about making improvements in qualifying. He's kind of utilising the people around him to make himself better, and I think that's a very smart, sensible, mature thing to do.
And he's part of the Mercedes team as well, which is a big operation, and clearly you can see the steps forward that he's taken, but also the other teams as well. So he's constantly having to strive forward. It's not like he can rest on his laurels now that he's part of Mercedes. There are other teams coming for his crown.
Yeah, and I think, when Lewis joined Mercedes, Nico, Valtteri, they all kicked on when they joined such a special team, and I feel when he would have joined the Mercedes virtual team, he will kick on as well. They've got great people there. They want him to win, so they're going to push him, and he's going to want to leave no stone unturned, do all the research, just like Lewis does, to try and make himself the best possible driver.
Yes, how do you kind of push that pressure away? Of course, they're on social media all the time. Jarno Opmeer has, in his own right, transcended his own profile, and lots of people watch him stream, and he has become like a bit of a mini celebrity in the world of, Formula One. So how does he kind of not get distracted by all of that and also focus on winning another title?
Well, I'm always amazed, actually, at the drivers on the grids who don't ever seem to be bothered by social media or what's in the papers or what's in the news. The first thing is obviously experience, you get used to it, but on the second thing, you're there because you want to win. And so ultimately, you've just got to put everything else, and it's not just social media, it's literally everything else, out of the window and focus on what you're doing. And it seems like he's doing a great job doing that.
Amazing stuff. Up next, time to check out how yesterday's race at Monza played out. Just before we do, though, a man familiar with success at the Temple of Speed had a message for his teammates taking part.
Hey guys, it's Pierre here. You might have noticed I won in Monza, my first F1 victory, and I saw it's coming up in the Pro Championship, so go get there. I hope you get the win, and I hope you guys perform for the teams Scuderia, AlphaTauri, and we'll be supporting. So all the best, and I hope to see you on the podium.
Amazing stuff to hear from Pierre Gasly. Of course, had that incredible victory at Monza, which I'm sure still lives very, very fresh in the brain for him.
Yeah, it was chaos that day. I was there, lucky enough to be there, and it wasn't just his AlphaTauri team who were happy for him. It wasn't just Red Bull, it was everyone in the paddock. They were going into the motorhome to congratulate him. Proper fever, because he's a nice guy, people like him, and they felt that he didn't get his chance at Red Bull, got that opportunity, got that win, and then this year he has kicked on. I would argue he's in the top 2 drivers this year in terms of ultimate performance and making the best out of his package. And, if he keeps driving like this, he's going to be around for a very long time.
Now, let's see if Pierre Gasly's words of encouragement for his team helped at all. And I'm still recovering from these Monza highlights.
And here we go then. The lights are coming on now. When all 5 go out, we'll be racing in Monza. We're underway. Jarno Opmeer from pole position gets a great start by the looks of things as we head down towards turn 1. Marcel Kiefer still holding to P2. Is he going to look to the inside of the Mercedes? He does look to the inside, but Jarno Opmeer late on the brakes and gets through the first chicane absolutely fine and dandy. Fabrizio Donoso, P3 still. What a great qualifying from him. Lucas Blakeley, P4. Barry Burremand on the soft tyres, up to P5 already. He's made up a couple of positions. Job's gone down a position, so has Rasmussen, as they fight now down towards the second chicane.
Burremand, the one to watch on those soft tyres. He's now going to make a move down the outside of Lucas Blakeley on the way into Ascari. He's going to bring it down the outside. Is it going to be close enough to make it move?
Oh, what a move.
What a great job from Barry Burremand.
There's a position change between Tourmaline and Beresnay, but let's focus on Donoso and Burremand. It's once again, it's almost deja vu. This time it's Donoso and Burremand, and he may well clear it with the use of slipstream of Kiefer ahead to go all the way round the outside, and all of a sudden, Barry Burremand is on a charge.
What a move, mate. Nice job.
There's a move for the lead as we cut across the team radio. Marcel Kiefer takes the lead. Barry Burremand is now going to take the lead from the pair of them. From P3 to P1, Barry Burremand in the McLaren decides, you know what, I'm going to lead from the front. Give me those soft tyres. And now, let's see what he can do. Need to watch out for this now. We've got Kiefer, Blakeley, Donoso and Caraton all in the pits now. They're putting on a fresh set of soft tyres. So they will try and get track position on the likes of Buraman. They're all fighting ahead. Longay dips a wheel into the grass. They're going to fight once again down towards turn 1. Is Longay going to go round the outside, then the inside against Lucas Blakely? He is indeed. And the pair of Alpines that both are running penalties are fighting tooth and nail. And all of a sudden, Jarno Opmeer up to P5. Is he going to get up the inside of Longay into the next chicane? He's thinking about it, but maybe not this time. Has a little look. But this time, Jarno Opmeer still, though, makes a position up on his championship rival, Lucas Blakely. Oh, bit of contact, and that may well, I think his front might be okay, but Opmeer just wants to get on with it. He's now flying down the straight, side by side with Nicolas Longay, but again, Donoso given the slipstream, but no, Jarno has more straight line speed even without the slipstream. Up to P4 goes Jarno Opmeer, and that is a solid move. They're so close going through the first chicane. Oh, there's a wheel banging as well. Who is going to come out on top? They're still side by side, Nick.
This is the crazy thing. Does Opmeer take the risk and fight Longay?
Oh, enter Danny Moreno! Enter Danny Moreno into this fight, and they're going to go 3 wide into the second chicane. It's Jarno Opmeer, and then it's Danny Moreno, and Nicolas Longay's lost out with his contact again. Nicolas Longay comes out worse in that particular incident, down to P8.
Donoso's looking super racy. Who are we going to be slipstreaming? We've got left or right. We've got so much choice. And Opmeer thinking twice about it on the inside of Donoso.
Oh, Opmeer's going to try and do the pair of them here with his fresher tyres. Can he go round the outside? It'll be the inside line when he finally gets to the second chicane, Jarno Opmeer. Oh, he's not got the slipstream though. This is going to be so close. Look how close they are to whip back.
Has to be now for Opmeer on the brakes for sure.
Oh, will he get Rasmussen as well? That's going to be so tight, but Jarno up to P3. Oh, look in the background, Danny Moreno and Donoso going side by side into the Ascari chicane as well.
This is it. This is the better exit that Opmeer's got. And now up to P2. It's definitely got to be P2 for Opmeer.
Well, it might not be actually. Marcel was giving the slipstream to Freddie Rasmussen. They're going to go side by side into curve Alboreto, but it looks like Jarno Opmeer is going to get the position. Now he'll have the use of DRS. Can he catch Marcel Kiefer on the final lap? Freddie Rasmussen has to do the team game here. He has to try and hold up as much as he possibly can. Jarno Opmeer, oh, look at that! Danny Moreno up the inside up to P2. That is unbelievable from the Mercedes driver. Oh, they almost come together, the two silver arrows. Freddie round! There's been contact damage to Nitzer, I think, making contact with the Red Bull. Freddie Rasmussen, this whole race has gone up in smoke. Marcel Kiefer goes defensive into the final corner, but it's going to be enough for the Red Bull driver. Marcel Kiefer has dominated from the front, and it is a brilliant drive from the Red Bull driver. He comes over the line to win the Italian Grand Prix from Danny Moreno, and Jarno Opmeer take about every single one of those drivers. That was fantastic entertainment, Nick.
Now, I have got to agree with past me. It was fantastic entertainment. And there is the race classification. Marcel Kiefer took the victory in the Red Bull ahead of Jarno Opmeer. But it was heartbreak for Freddie Rasmussen. It looked so close to being a Red Bull 1-2 and just producing an amazing undercut strategy with Freddie. But P8 for him. Amazing job for Sebastian Job. Excuse the pun, but that's 10 points for the AlphaTauri team, and he'll be very happy with that. Donoso up there as well. There's some new names, new faces constantly coming up there, and it's great to see. Let's take a look at the second page. Danny Beresne just missing out on points, but only 5.6 seconds off the lead, and he doesn't score any points. That's F1 Esports in a nutshell this year. Nicolas Longay getting caught up in quite a few incidents at the end as well. Joining me is Mr. James Baldwin. James, that took a long time to process. I don't think I'm still over it, to be honest, and my voice just about recovered for this show. What did you make of it?
Well, I mean, I wasn't quite shouting like you were, but I can hear the husky voice as well. But it was like a Formula Ford race. I mean, there clearly wasn't any dirty air. There was slipstreaming every straight, sending it on every corner. The last couple of laps were nuts, but it was good fun to watch.
Is that the technical term?
Yeah, it was nuts.
So something that we tend to see in the F1 Esports series sometimes is DRS trains, and we can't get the moves done. But for whatever reason, the last couple of laps in a lot of races this season already, they've just gone, you know what, I don't really care. I'm just going to send one.
It's good. I mean, as I said earlier, it's about the experience. You know, the more these drivers do it, the less pressure they'll feel. Like, some of them are in their 5th season, so they're just going to start sending it every race. Monza is a track where that doesn't really get in the way of the dirty air. You know, you can overtake quite easily. So why can't we just do Monza every race?
I know, that would be amazing. This we're seeing on screen right now, the battle between Rasmussen and Opmeer. And at this point, we're thinking it's a two-way fight. You know, it's just between Opmeer and Rasmussen, and this is where I exploded, and Danny Moreno just came out of nowhere to take P2, and then this was quite tight, wasn't it, between the two Mercedes?
Yeah, I think he outbraked himself, but he wasn't too kind to Jarno, was he? And then in the second chicane, they had a little battle as well. But listen, I mean, Danny Moreno has to take those opportunities. You know, difference between P4 and P2, you've got to do it.
And you mentioned as well in the quali show, for people that didn't see it though, that Moreno wasn't exactly playing second fiddle, was he? He's happy to stick it up the inside of Jarno Opmeer and see what happens.
I love seeing it, because last year I saw firsthand how quick he was. I knew he was going to cause a few headaches. It's tight between the two of them. At the moment, Jarno's got the upper hand, but will that be the case all season? I don't know.
Yeah, so we've got Belgium, of course, coming up as well. Are we expecting some more moves at the end of the race like that? Or because I feel like maybe in the first few races it was a bit tentative. People just wanted to, you know, see what happens. But then from then on, it's just been carnage. Are we going to see that more? Because obviously you have been part of the F1 Esports series. Is there usually conversations from the team as well about, look, OK, right, you took it a bit too far in that race. Maybe calm it down and don't dive bomb Opmeer? Is that the kind of things they may have been saying to Danny?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, apart from Jarno and Lucas, no one has anything to lose. So, yeah, I mean, they're probably going to send it. I can't tell you. I don't know. We'll find out soon.
We will indeed. So that was day one. Let's take a look at how the standings look after all of that action. And Jarno Opmeer, 4 points, only 4 points clear of Lucas Blakely, who is just scoring points every single race. Mr. Consistent is the Aston Martin driver. Freddie Rasmussen still very much in the hunt in the Drivers' Championship as well. Barry Buremund, again, another one of the kind of Lucas Blakely performances, always there in the top 5 and making qualifying work for him. Marcel Kiefer maybe a little bit disappointed to be down in 5th place, but of course winning the Italian Grand Prix has helped that. And let's take a look at the second page. This is where you don't want to be, really, isn't it, James?
Exactly.
And David Tanitsa's probably going to want to get a move on, down in 11th at the moment with 13 points. And we've got 3 drivers on 0 points as well. So Danny Berezny being one of them. Bit surprising there, huh?
Really weird. I mean, yes, he's not done every race, but he's done 3 or 4. You just expect him to be up there. He's got so many wins, poles, podiums. Just this new game's not suiting him. I have no idea what's going on. Really weird.
Well,
really
hopefully it will come good for him. There's the team's championship. Mercedes, 122 points ahead of Red Bull. So they've got a decent lead, but that can all change in one race. We've already seen it this season. Aston Martin, thanks to Lucas Blakely flying the flag, sitting in P3. Then Alpine, a pretty strong lineup with Donoso and Longuet, but I think Longuet probably wanted a bit better results at this point in the season. McLaren Shadow as well. That's pretty much all come from Barry Buremund. And then, of course, Haas still waiting to get off the 0 point mark. What do you do in that kind of scenario where you haven't really scored that many points, you're nearly halfway through the season?
I can tell you firsthand exactly what you do.
I didn't want to say that. I wasn't going to be mean. But obviously you've been in difficult positions. How do you pick yourself up after maybe a disappointing start?
You need to dig deep. You need the right people around you. Obviously, personal life, professional. They need to not blow smoke, you know, but just encourage. And it will go your way. If you're quick enough, which they all are to be on the grid, it will go your way. You just got to just really dig deep. It's hard, but you got to do it.
Now, I hate to ask you, but what was it that you had to dig deep about maybe to get better performances out of it? Was it the fact that you weren't maybe like putting enough practice? I don't want to say that, I know you work very hard, but what element was it that maybe you felt like you were lacking? Was it just understanding of the game, maybe on the mental side and dealing with the pressure? I'm not saying that you're not the perfect.
It was the lack of practice. I completely prioritised my other commitment, which was real-life racing in British GT, and it bit me when I went into F1 Esports. So I wouldn't say I regret it. It's just how it is. You know, I had, 600 hours on the game, which was not as much as some of the others. So it makes a difference. So do you reckon that we're seeing that with some of the drivers here this year, that maybe the ones that, I know you're not going to say, yes, absolutely, but is that maybe one of the reasons that you think that the likes of Danny Berezny maybe hasn't got off the mark? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in their lives. You know, if they do have distractions, it will get in the way. But it's hard to say. You know, it's so marginal that one loss of thought process through one corner, and that's lap gone. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Thanks for your insight, James. I'm going to stick up the countdown clock to let you know how long is left till the race. Join us after the break, where we will be getting under the Belgian Grand Prix.
Hi guys, it's Ferrari here, and today we're gonna be doing the 5 seconds challenge, so let's see how it goes. A ball, my puppet, and a wheel.
Grass, green paint, and green astroturf. Hell yeah! Let's go.
Drinking, going to the bathroom, and closing my eyes. That was that was really awkward because I was already thinking about Brandon.
Oh, so yeah, me and David spend a lot of time together before bedtime. We do. Snuggles. Mackerel, salmon, tuna.
Horse, king, and queen. in Italian, we say horse, basically, literally. So I don't know the name of the horse.
My career, no.
Delta, Alpha, Beta.
What?
Yeah.
Fair play.
Get in there.
Pineapple, salami, not pepperoni because pepperoni is wrong, and mushrooms. Yeah, I self-burn my career and I put pineapple on pizza.
Nice. Get in there, Brandon. You're washed. Oh god.
We're underway in Belgium. Giovinazzi is in the wall. Sunday afternoon masterclass from Lewis Hamilton.
Let's take a look at this Belgian Grand Prix circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps, an iconic F1 circuit. We have 3 sectors, 2 DRS zones, and you can see right now we have 19 corners ahead of the drivers. This is such a long circuit as well. You really have to make your moves in the right places. This is turn 1, Berezne versus Rasmussen. You might want to try and overtake, but then you get the slipstream all the way down to turn 5, and they still continue fighting. Rasmussen coming out on top in that particular battle. Rasmussen and Berezne so good around this circuit historically. Turn number 18, sorry, that is 2020. Berezne into the bus stop chicane. Lots of action going on there as well. So I'm fully expecting some great overtakes. Spa is usually an amazing track, Lawrence. Are you looking forward to seeing how these drivers take this circuit? Usually it has its own climates as well. That's something that I've heard.
Yeah, sometimes it can rain in one part of the circuit down at La Source, and at the other end, the slower section where Pouron is, it can be raining. So it varies all the time. That's what the challenge is. You know, do you put the intermediates on if it's sprinkling in one bit but heavy in the other end, and can you coax the car through? That's what's so good about this circuit. It's so far 7.004 kilometres, I think. I've learned that.
Just over 7, isn't it? Which is technically not allowed, I think, in F1 when you actually build an F1 circuit, but they managed to stick in that point.
Spa's so good, I think you can make an exception.
Yeah. They showed them the track map and they were like, this is good enough for the extra 4, isn't it? Yeah?
Exactly.
But we mentioned the microclimates, but of course it's a really long lap as well. So if, you know, for example, we do get some changeable conditions and you just miss the pits and you think, I can go one more lap, and then you go, oh God, it's 1 minute 45, 1 minute 50, whatever it is. It's a long time to make a wrong decision, isn't it?
You're going to be in a world of pain if you miss the pits, and then you've got to get around a lap that ordinarily takes you 1 minute 44, 45 seconds. In the rain, it's going to take you significantly longer, and if you can keep it pointing in the right direction, that's going to be the challenge.
Time to head to the race now, but before we do, here's James to take you around a lap of Spa.
Thanks, Matt. Let's do a lap of Spa-Francorchamps on F1 2021. So, sector 1 is basically one corner, the source, down to first gear for the apex. Then you want a short shift on the exit to avoid some wheel spin. It's all about getting a good exit because you've got a long straight through Radeon, through Eau Rouge, which in an F1 car is not really a corner. Easy, flat, don't even have to think about it. And in 8th gear as well, down the straight to Le Com, which is a very important section. We're going to look to brake about 100 metres, cut all the curbs to the limit, obviously not too much because we'll get a penalty. I reckon down to 4th, and then a bit of oversteer on the curbs. The curbs are really slippy, up to 6th for the right-hander, and now we're in the middle of sector 2. So the next one's a downhill right, which is very easy to lock up because the car is starting to get away with you, or away from you with the weight. Then no name, it's a very tricky corner. It's all about the exit, and we get an invalidation because we overstepped the mark there. Going into Pouron, almost flat. And you can tell I've done no practice because that was awful. Good into Piff Path. Down to 4th, I reckon. Should have taken some curb there, up to 5th for the left. Again, the curbs are really slippy. Then down to 4th for the next right. And we're going to run wide on the exit, which is not good. It's very hard to drive with no audio, but we give it our best shot. And then down to the final chicane, which it's make or break. I mean, it's a very tricky chicane to get right, but if you've done a good lap to this point, you start, getting scared because it's so easy to mess up. So I reckon brake at 100, down to third, pretty bit early on the brakes, then second for the left, short shift on the exit. We're a bit lazy there on the throttle, but across the line, that was a lap of Spa. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, James, for that amazing track guide around Spa. Mr. Nick Hamilton, welcome to the commentary booth. Bit of news for you. It's raining. Raining at Spa. We've got David Tnitzer on pole. We've got a few drivers out of place. Jarno Opmeer, we've seen him, what he's done at China earlier on this season with the crazy wet strategy. What are we going to see this time?
Well, it's definitely thrown a cat amongst the pigeons, hasn't it, Matt?
It has.
And I think Opmeer starting where he did pretty much at China, I don't think people are going to allow him to get away with it this time. Surely not.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if there are any alternate strategies out there that they decide to go for. But it looked pretty heavy. It looked pretty heavy, the rain. So let's take a look at the starting grid then. And it is David Tnitzer on pole position ahead of Freddie Rasmussen. Then Nicolas Longuet, P3. If you watched the quali show earlier, he has been promoted after a penalty was unwarranted. Barry Buremund, once again, up there, P4. He has a good opportunity to score some points. Danny Moresnet, he gets the call up from McLaren Shadow, and he's P5. Then it's Danny Moreno, Yoni Tormler, and Brendan Lee, P8. And let's see what these guys can do in these heavy rain conditions. Then it's the two Aston Martins. Lucas Blakely will be pretty disappointed not setting a time in Q3. Then Sebastian Job continuing his good form in the AlphaTauri. Then Marcel Kiefer, very disappointed after qualifying. Only P12, but not as disappointed as Jarno Opmeer down in 14th, just behind Patrick Sipos, who gets the call-up over Fabrizio Donoso. Then it's Simon Weigang, the birthday boy, in P15, ahead of Alvaro Carreton, the 16th place runner, and just missed out on Q2. And then the final page, Cedric Tomei and Van Erven, the two Haas drivers, and Philip Presneder and Michael Romanidis, rounding out the 20-car grid. It is pouring with rain for this Belgian Grand Prix as the drivers round the last couple of corners and put themselves onto the grid. Nick, this looks so interesting. Look at the tyre selection. Freddie Rasmussen on Inters, and then from 11th to last, also on Inters, we have got a strategy battle on our hands.
Rasmussen is basically the only guy in the top 10 on Inters. What the hell is going on? I can't wait.
I'm ready for this. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be a tale of two halves, I think. The wet tyre runners. Look how wet it is out there. You can see the puddles as the last few cars join the back of the grid. We are almost ready for the start of this Belgian Grand Prix. Here we go then. The lights are coming on now. When all five go out, we'll be racing in Spa. We're underway for the Belgian Grand Prix. David Tnitzer getting a pretty decent start down towards turn one. Freddie Rasmussen slow on those intermediates. The Alpine of Nicolas Longuet looking to the inside, and that's also Barry Buremund making some places as well. Freddie is dropping like a stone at the moment through turn one, but remember, he's just going to try and hold on. Oh! McLaren, that's Danny Moresnet into the wall. There's a big crash as Danny Moresnet is going to be out of contention completely, dropped to the bottom of the field. Oh, after such a great qualifying from Danny, he is in 20th position. Let's focus on the front now. David Tnitzer still leading from Nicolas Longuet and Barry Buremund, P3. Freddie Rasmussen just trying to hold on those Inters. In the background, you can see Brendan Lee and Johnny Tormler fighting. Brendan Lee up to P5 now on those wet tyres. You'd imagine he'll get close and then potentially pass Freddie Rasmussen very quickly. Danny Moresnet unfortunately out the session. Brendan Lee up the inside, up to P4, and Freddie Rasmussen struggling, Nick.
Yeah, currently Freddie Rasmussen is a sitting duck on those intermediate tyres, but will they come to play or into play for him? At the moment, he's just got to stay out of trouble and try not to lose too much time. Already now losing time to Lucas Blakely. Danny Moreno up next to overtake him. But as we've seen, they do come in if you are patient. So Freddie Rasmussen just got to stay patient, Matt.
He absolutely does. But you have to say at this point, he's thrown away a P2, a great qualifying session at the moment. This might be a wonder stroke, just like we saw Jarno Opmeer in China. They're all seeming to want to try that strategy now. But Freddie Rasmussen starting on the front row of the grid. Very surprised to see him start on the intermediates. He's already fallen off the back of Lucas Blakely. Here's Daniele Haddad right behind the Mercedes driver of Danny Moreno. Both of these on the wet tyres. Let's have a look and see who else has made places up. Lucas Blakely has made up places from P10 on the grid up to P6. Down the inside goes Daniele Haddad on Danny Moreno. They're going to be side by side through this butt-stop chicane. Who's going to come out on top? It's all about traction here. It's going to be the inside line for Daniele Haddad. They're going to fight very hard, though. What a great move for Haddad in the Aston Martin. Will Danny Moreno try it up the inside? No, he will not. So the Aston Martin up to P8. Next up, Freddie Rasmussen, who did not make that corner at all. 2 seconds back from Lucas Blakely already. But remember, he just needs a pit stop for when it turns to intermediates and all these wet runners come in, which I imagine that's the reason that the teams have chosen this strategy, is because they think it's going to get drier. And to be honest, for me, it looks like it's getting drier already. Daniele Haddad is going to try and get past Freddie Rasmussen here. They're going to be side by side. I don't think Rasmussen is going to try and fight this, to be honest, and he does not. He just filters in. He's playing the long game.
Yeah, great job from Daniele Haddad, straight away on the case, and up to P7 already. Lucas Blakely having a fantastic start up in P6, so Daniele Haddad is now a great rear gunner to help Lucas Blakely along. This is Brendan Lee. We can hear some team radio.
Who's the best starter in F1 Esports?
You, mate. Wow, okay, so Brendan Lee getting out his trumpet and playing it. Well done, Brendan, up to P4, and he's very happy with that. Ferrari 1-4 at the moment, and that's definitely the best result by a mile if they finish it here. But there's a long way to go in this race at the moment. We have to keep an eye on that interval between Freddie Rasmussen and the nearest wet runner, which at the moment is Daniele Haddad. He's 1.6 seconds back, so still losing time, but Moreno is making no time up either. I wonder if he has had some front wing damage somewhere, because he is nowhere near the back of that Red Bull. Now, Nicholas Longate, P2 at the moment. He wants to get himself involved in this Drivers' Championship and also help Alpine get in the mix of Mercedes, Red Bull, Aston Martin. Joni Tormula as well in that AlphaTauri. They've had a very difficult start to the season. They're on 14 points at the moment, I believe, as lots of fastest laps being set now. And I wonder, when will this transition happen? Because if it starts to dry out very quickly, Nick, the intermediate runners are going to look like geniuses, because they're not pulling away at the level or at the rate that I was maybe expecting.
Yeah, it was, if you go back to China, it was around lap 3 where the Inter started really to come into the mix. And yeah, Rasmussen hasn't dropped off completely. I think obviously the first lap was pretty horrendous for him, but that's what you expect being on the intermediate tyres. And yeah, I think the wet runners aren't really pulling away as much as they would have expected. So I think the intermediate runners just need to remain patient.
This is fascinating stuff. We've got pretty much from 1st to 7th all on wet tyres, but will they have to pit? To be fair, in this part of the track you can see the rain still absolutely chucking it down. So you'd imagine, yeah, you can see the interval between Haddad and Rasmussen is now up to 2.8 seconds. If it doesn't let off, Nick, the wet tyre runners are going to run clear with this one, but we'll just have to wait and see. Lap 3 of 15, 35% race distance, don't forget. Barry Burman once again in the mix, trying to score points, consistent points, just like Lucas Blakely has been doing this season. And it will definitely pay dividends at the end of this season if he's constantly up there, constantly qualifying well. Nicholas Longate's had a really good middle sector, in fact. I wonder if he's going to try and challenge David Tunitsa. You can see with the flashing red light, he's in some sort of ERS saving mode. And just following Tunitsa for now, no reason to really attack it. At this stage of the race, they know they're fighting the intermediate runners at the moment. Freddie's still losing time to Haddad. That's the main thing we're watching out for at the moment. Jarno Opmeer still behind Sebastian Job. P12 for Jarno. And this time he doesn't have the luxury of being the only driver on a crazy strategy. He's got 3 other drivers ahead on the intermediates. Daniele Haddad sets the fastest lap of the race on the wet tyres. When we see a fastest lap from the intermediates, Nick, that's when we're going to start to think this race could turn on its head.
Yeah, definitely. That could be the crossover. Now, Nicholas Longate looking super racy, I would say, in the final sector of that last lap. It's almost like he almost backed out. Didn't really want to be leading, I would say. Just take his time, follow David Tunitsa. Tunitsa is not a stranger to the lead of an F1 Esports race, and yeah, doing a very good job out front. Freddie Rasmussen still losing time to Daniele Haddad, so at the moment, wet tyres are the best place to be, and we'll listen to some more team radio.
easing off. Yeah, might just work out.
It might just work out. That's what we want to hear, that it could change. And Freddie Rasmussen thinks it's letting up a little bit. So let's see. It still looks pretty wet to me at the moment, but we've seen already in these races how quickly it can change. Tanitsa leading this 6-car train. Tanitsa, Longe, Burman, Lee, Tormala and Blakely all within a shot of winning this race if the weather conditions stay as they are. If not, if they all have to pit, it'll be Rasmussen, Kiefer and Job your top 3. Sebastian Job will be very happy with that one. He's staying with Marcel Kiefer very comfortably indeed. He's got Jarno just behind him. Simon Weigang, the birthday boy. He'll be looking strong as well. But look, I mean, the camera angle's struggling to see through the spray there. So, yeah, it's certainly not intermediate tyre condition just yet. 5.3 seconds back now is Haddad. But clearly, those teams reckon it's going to change quite dramatically.
And what will really be interesting is once we start getting some potential pit stops, that's when the teams have really got to think. Sorry, look at Ferrari.
Oh, we've got a pitter in there, sorry. Danny Moreno coming into the pits. There it is. So that's the first driver to blink and, I guess, risk it for the intermediates. And I suppose as well, he doesn't want to pit on the same lap as... Oh, no, Jarno Opmeer would actually stay out. So Danny Moreno just risking it. He felt like he's not really in the fight for the victory, needs to give it a go with the intermediates, and that is a big roll of the dice.
It is indeed. And before you cut in so rudely there, Matt, I was actually going to say, I apologise, I was going to go and say that, you know, with these pit stops, I think David Tanitsa, Brendan Lee and Ferrari or FDA Hublot need to really think it through because they don't want to get caught out with one more driver doing an extra lap, because you never know, that could really, really hurt their chances.
I'm hearing in my ear as well, Danny Moreno was carrying some damage, so that's the reason that 1, he was falling away, and 2, he came into the pits, is because, well, he's going to roll the dice, hope it lets off, and whacks a new front wing on that car. So, smiling again. I should have a whack bingo card, shouldn't I, really? But we continue on. Joni Tormala we're taking a look at now in the AlphaTauri. If he finishes there, it'll be 10 points, which will help that tally no end for AlphaTauri. Oh, this is just, it's on a knife's edge at the moment. You can still see Freddie Rasmussen losing time. But look, if pit stops happen, Freddie will easily take the lead. It's just whether or not a pit stop will happen.
It's going to be very, very interesting. At the moment, absolutely hard, isn't it? We've got a team radio here.
To be honest, Barry, I'd just look at the front 2 and wait for them to start making their move. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're all working together, basically. That's how you decode that radio message. Because there is no reason for these wet tyre runners to start fighting each other at the moment, because they know they're in a sprint race against the intermediates. Yep. And they know that any bit of time lost could be crucial come the end of this race. 15 laps. It's not a long... Not many laps in the lap counter, but it is a very long racetrack, this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Patrick Sipos sets the fastest lap of the race down in P17. He's on wet 3-lap old tyres, so he's come into the pits for one reason or another. I imagine some damage as well. And we can now see Nicolas Longe just biding his time. Not seeing many overtakes at the moment, I am aware, but this is the beauty of F1 Esports. They know that it's all about time loss at the moment, but we've seen it in every single race pretty much this season, that it looks all calm and composed, and then one lap they're like, nope, I'm going to now stick all of my ERS into this lap, and we're going to start overtaking.
Yeah, it's definitely a strategic race at the moment. We've just got Hawkeye, basically, on Frederick Rasmussen, and yeah, 7.7 is the gap to Danny Haddad, so it's definitely... a wet tyre at the moment is definitely the best place, but I'm just waiting to see. I'm poised to see whether we see a fastest lap.
Nick Hamilton, if you can see Nick Hamilton, he has got his eyes glued to that timing screen because he is waiting to see those intermediates turn on.
Turn up, exactly that.
Yeah. And I'm sure we will see it at some point, but will it be too late for Rasmussen and Kiefer? Right now they're 8th and 9th, which will not be good enough for them. Although when you compare it to where the Mercedes are, which is 10th and down in 18th, maybe they'll take it. Right now, the 2 Aston Martins of Blakely and Haddad will make some inroads into the current leaders of the Teams Championship. And let's see what happens. Lap 7 of 15. And we continue to wait and see what is going to happen between this front six. Daniele Haddad just trying to stay, not within DRS because it's wet, but just stay with these six. They're kind of towing each other along at the moment, aren't they, Nick? They're using the slipstream of each other. David Tanitsa probably using a bit more battery. It's like a peloton, you know, in bike racing. You know, the front one has to work a little bit harder than the ones following.
Yeah, it's as I said, it's a very strategic race. I don't think Nicolas Longuet really wants to lead. I think he's sitting pretty in P2 currently. Brendan Lee, as we know, was super happy with his start and saying that he's the best starter in F1 Esports. And yeah, I think everyone so far driving a very, very calm race. Looking at Rasmussen, he's actually taken a 10th out of Daniele Haddad on this lap, which is interesting. Will that continue to drop? And if it does, that could mark the crossover point.
I am looking at the detail of this screen to see if it is becoming more intermediate conditions, and it does look like it's drying out a little bit.
Yeah, another tenth, another couple of tenths is what Rasmussen has taken out. So another team radio.
I don't know, should I even pit? Because I can stay out if the wet and inters difference wouldn't be big.
Yeah, we'll judge.
We'll judge. Okay, right, I can see. Yeah, you've seen it. I've seen it.
It's
Freddie.
half a second.
Freddie's now, it was 8 seconds. It's now into the 7s. It might well be intermediate time, and they're all coming into the pits.
Got to be time.
So all of a sudden, the intermediate runners are going to be leading this field. But how quick are all of these drivers, Tanitsa, Longuet, Burman, Tormela, Blakely, going to be on fresh intermediates? This race is turning on its head, Nick.
It is indeed, and it's all about Fredrik Rasmussen and the rest of the intermediate runners. How well have they looked after their tyres? Are they going to be able to get it to the end of the race? Now, this is super, super interesting. I'm so excited. It's the perfect crossover time, and yeah, straight into the pits. Let's wait and see.
Unfortunately for Brendan Lee and Daniele Haddad, they had teammates that were ahead of them, so they could not come into the pits at the same time. Otherwise, they would have been double stacked. So they are going to have a lap of pain as Danny Moreno sets the fastest lap of the race. Still down in 17th at the moment is Danny, because he had to change that front wing, and there's a bit of fighting going on here between David Tanitsa, Sebastian Job, and Nicolas Longuet. Oh, please don't go 3 wide into there. It might well be 2 wide, though. Tanitsa, Longuet, and Job in the background, and it's Longuet getting ahead of Sebastian Job. And David Tanitsa technically was the leader until he pit. In P6 at the moment, not too far behind Freddie Rasmussen. What is the pace going to be like for these 0-lap runners? Tanitsa and Longuet, Sebastian Job, of course, 7-lap-old intermediates on his car. Oh, this is going to be very interesting indeed. Jarno Opmeer has made some positions up, of course, just behind Marcel Kiefer. Once we see Lee and Haddad come into the pits, it's going to be a Rasmussen, Kiefer, Opmeer top 3. And that is not something we expected to see, knowing where Kiefer and Opmeer were starting this race, both out in Q2. But they're making an alternate strategy work. Shock for Jarno Opmeer making an alternate strategy work. There's Simon Weigang. There's no birthday balloons, which I'm very upset about. Is that some birthday cake in the background? Not sure. But either way, he's running in a couple of points, paying position in P9. Just ahead of Barry Burman, who's going to be very quick indeed on those fresh intermediates.
Surely we're going to see Brendan Lee into the pits, and into the pits exactly is what he does. He lost quite a bit of time to Freddie Rasmussen, who took, I'd say, a good second and a half on this lap alone. Fastest lap now changing to Marcel Kiefer. So we've got a Red Bull 1-2. Opmeer in third. And yeah, with the alternate strategy, still, Opmeer's got a lot of work to do, because those Red Bulls aren't going to be easy to pass.
They're not, but they're actually quite far away from each other. So Rasmussen and Kiefer aren't exactly in tow distance, so they can't play the team game as such if we have the likes of Tanitsa and Longuet rocking up to the back of their diffuser. Here's Lucas Blakely, as he's about to overtake Joni Tormela, I believe. He's at least sizing up a move. They're both on 0-lap-old intermediates, and Blakely just thinking better of it just now. Let's hear some team radio.
The good news for us is everyone else's inters are dead.
They're dead, according to Lucas. So how dead are they? That's the question. And how much quicker are they going to be? Because Freddie Rasmussen is a good 6 odd seconds down the road from Tanitsa. We've only got 6 laps to go of this Belgian Grand Prix. Lucas might be celebrating the fresh tyres, but does he have enough time to get back to where he was before? Barry Buremund cannot seem to get past Simon Weigang at the moment.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like there's much benefit at the moment with a fresher set of inters. It's looking like the guys that were already on the inters at the start of the race are still managing to make it work. It's good to be riding on board with Lucas Blakely to see if he's gaining anything on Joni Tourmala, as we are now watching Barry Buremund doing a good job there in P8. And let's see what goes on into the final bus stop chicane. But at the moment, even though, as you said, Blakely is happy with his tyre choice, still got a bit of work to do.
Freddie Rasmussen, fastest lap of the race. I have a feeling that's going to be displaced. It is by David Tanitsa, only by 1/10 of a second, though. Freddie Rasmussen doing a brilliant job out there. Remember, at the Italian Grand Prix, he made some soft tyres work until he was unfortunately hit by David Tanitsa. But he was definitely the master of managing worn tyres. Barry Buremund doesn't have anything like that to worry about. Danny Moreno sets the fastest lap of the race, but he is unfortunately completely out of contention and down in 17th place in the Mercedes after some impact caused his front wing to be damaged. Michael Romanidis, a penalty, but he's down in 16th. And we're just keeping an eye on that gap, and Opmeer is being reeled in by David Tanitsa. It's less than a second now. How does Opmeer play this? That's the question. Does he just not fight it too hard and accept that he needs to keep those tyres in a good working window? We will find out very shortly. Joni Tourmala, P9 now, and he is just waiting for Barry Buremund to make the move. But Job and Weigang are doing a brilliant job to hold these two back.
They are, yeah. Sebastian Job doing a fantastic job in P6. Now, I'm sure he's heard this a million times throughout his life, but no, really doing great. Currently in P6, very, very consistent. And yeah, with Jarno Opmeer, yeah, does he take the risk at the moment? He's extending his lead in the Drivers' Championship to Lucas Blakely. Blakely only in 10th. Yeah, happy with his tyres, but not necessarily moving forward. So a lot of work to do from him. And David Tanitsa looking pretty comfortable in P4. And the fact that Brendan Lee couldn't actually come into the pits at the right time because you're not allowed to double stack, or you're not able to double stack, it's actually cost him a lot of time down in P13.
Yeah, too much time lost in the pit lane when they do double stack, so they had to go for that. And yeah, P13, that is such a shame after Brendan being so happy with his start. Very interestingly, David Tanitsa lost a bit of time in that last sector to Jarno Opmeer, and it's kind of stagnated at around 7/8 of a second. Marcel Kiefer not making any inroads into his teammate either. And all of a sudden, Red Bull looking very good indeed on these 10-lap-old intermediates. I know this is lap 11 of 15, not many laps to go, but it is a very long lap around here, and the tyres can go off at any point. And Tanitsa is now closing in much more, and you'd have to imagine maybe in the next few laps, DRS might be enabled, and we see a few risks with the dry tyres. Buremund attacking Weigang. Sebastian Job is just ahead of them in P6 as well. So it's Job and Weigang still doing the business. I almost said Job. Ahead of Buremund and Tourmala. This must be so frustrating for them. Lucas Blakely was so excited at the fact that these drivers ahead have pretty worn intermediates, but they can't get past.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying. It's all depends on how well the drivers that started the race on the inters, the 10-lap-old inters now, how they kept the tyres, and they've done a fantastic job to do that. So you got the likes of Tanitsa on 2-lap-old inters and Longuet on 2-lap-old inters, and not really making any inroads.
Oh, Tanitsa's lost time. Tanitsa's lost time to Opmeer now on this lap. It's over a second to the Mercedes driver. Rasmussen extending his advantage a little bit over Marcel Kiefer on this lap. And this turnaround that I was expecting is maybe not happening, although Blakely wants Tourmala to get on with this, and I imagine Lucas will want to be seeing this AlphaTauri in his rear-view mirror as opposed to being in front of him. Does Lucas try it down the inside? Yes, he does in the Aston Martin. Is it going to be a bit of contact? No, they're not. Little bit of wheel banging into the final corner, and unfortunately for Lucas, it is not going to work for him, although he is just trying to get that front left tyre in front of the right rear of Joni Tourmala. Lucas is going to go on the inside once again. Surely not. Surely they're not going to go side by side through Eau Rouge and Radion. Oh, Lucas gets just a bit better traction, and he gets through on Joni Tourmalet. But crucially, they lose a little bit of time to Bouremand and Weigang ahead. But that was a great move from Lucas. But can he hold on to this? He's already trying to weave out of the slipstream and not allow Joni Tourmalet back through. He's on the inside to try and defend it as well. Joni Tourmalet to the outside. Are they going to go side by side into here as well? Yes, they are. The AlphaTauri driver does not want to give this up, but Lucas Blakely seals P9 for now.
Yeah, very opportunistic coming out of La Source hairpin. I think Joni had to take to the curb and lost a bit of traction there, which then gave Blakely the run, pretty much. Now, pretty good defensive work from Blakely, put his car in the right position, and great driving from both of those guys. Simon Weigang, birthday boy, up in P8. Is definitely a good race from him so far.
I'm constantly looking at these time intervals, and I am more and more confident now that Freddie Rasmussen has pulled off a masterstroke, starting on the intermediates, a risky strategy, but clearly has done his research, had a look at the weather report and decided it was much better to start on the intermediate tyres. David Tanitsa is losing time to Jarno Opmeer. Opmeer closing in on Kiefer a little bit. 0.8 of a second between Marcel and Jarno, as we see a fight now between Weigang and Lucas Blakely. Lucas, of course, on those much fresher intermediates. He's going to try and get past Simon. Into the bus stop chicane we go. Oh, a little bit of squeezing going on from Simon there, but Lucas can't find a way through at the moment, and he's going to be getting more and more irritated in his simulator. Is Lucas Blakely. Will he try it down the inside again, just like we saw against Joni Tourmalet? He has a little look, doesn't he, but just cannot outbrake Simon, despite the 8 lap difference and the 12 lap old tyres for Simon. He's going to just be a bit more patient and try it down the pit straight, down the main straight.
Yeah, so I think we are now starting to see the fresher inters come into play. And we've obviously got Lucas Blakely now on the hunt. He's going to try and go down the inside at the last minute. Is here, but he's defending pretty hard as well from Joni Tourmalet. These three drivers doing a fantastic job when it comes to clean driving.
Barry's got a penalty for corner cutting there. I think he was fighting Job, and we just cut to him there when he was off the track, and he's been given a 3-second time penalty. I'm sure he'll be going to the stewards to argue that one, but for right now, we have to say that Bouremand has unfortunately lost any opportunity to score decent points. He may well finish P10 here, but now the fight for P2 is starting to hot up a little bit as well now. Jarno Opmeer within half a second of Marcel Kiefer. Lucas Blakely still trying to get through these old intermediate runners, but just cannot find a way through. No DRS available. You can still see there's so much spray. Only when there's dry enough conditions will the DRS be activated. Simon misses the apex by a country mile. Lucas Blakely's just going to have to be patient here. Can he get through? He hasn't got a huge amount of VRS, but he's going to go and try and go side by side now. Simon just trying to squeeze him back in. But Lucas, with the use of a bit more battery power, flies past Simon Weigang. Will Simon have any sort of answer into the bus stop chicane? It looks like he's not going to. So Lucas up to P8, crucial points for him in the championship. Now, let's focus on Jarno Opmeer, trying to get past Marcel Kiefer in the dying embers of this race. Penultimate lap, Freddie Rasmussen, 5 seconds clear. Forget about him, it's all about P2.
Yeah, Jarno Opmeer making inroads, huge inroads into Marcel Kiefer. They're on the same lap tyres, so nothing different in that sense. Can Kiefer soak up the pressure from championship leader Jarno Opmeer? Look at him focusing super hard. We are in the slipstream, in that tow, and not just yet going through the right, left. Be careful of those curves, they're going to be super slippery, and maybe we can get a better exit than Kiefer here. No, Kiefer looking very strong on exit. So far so good for Kiefer. Drops down hill here, really easy to lock an inside front, and over to the left corner with no name. It's all about exit here as well, but Kiefer looking like he's holding station for now.
These are crucial points in the fight between Red Bull and Mercedes. Jarno knows he needs to get through on Marcel, especially with Freddie Rasmussen scoring a maximum 25 points. I say maximum, I don't think he has fastest lap. I think that's gone to Danny Moreno, but 25 points for Freddie Rasmussen at the moment. And Jarno knows, with his teammate out of the points, that this is going to be a huge swing in the favour of Red Bull. He needs to try and put some damage limitation here. And I wonder if Jarno will size up a move into the final lap of the race. So the intermediate runners have got it right here. Can David Tanitsa do anything? He has 8-lap fresher intermediates, but just can't do anything. But Jarno Opmeer has a little look into the bus stop chicane. There's a little bit of contact as well with the left rear of Marcel Kiefer. Marcel really struggling on these intermediates now, and Jarno smells an opportunity, but not only him, the Ferrari of David Tanitsa.
Wow, so the final lap into La Source for the last time. Oh, basically pushing Marcel Kiefer through that hairpin, but now it's all about getting in the slipstream through Eau Rouge. Has Marcel Kiefer got enough in his tyres to deal with the pressure from Jarno Opmeer? And we don't forget, we have David Tanitsa right in the mix.
Oh, this is going to be so
now, Matt.
This is going to be so close. So which way are they going to go? Jarno to the inside. David Tanitsa can't find any way on the racetrack to get through. Jarno and Marcel going to be side by side through these sequence of corners, but it's going to be Jarno Opmeer who takes P2 away from Marcel Kiefer. David Tanitsa enters the fight as well now. Marcel going defensive. He doesn't know which way to go, David Tanitsa. He's going to have to settle for P4 at the moment, but it's not over yet. There's still half a lap to go. Freddie Rasmussen is home and dry, but P2 still very much up for grabs. Enter Nicolas Longuet as well in the background. This is certainly still on for the final podium position. Marcel's tyres are completely gone, Nick.
Yeah, it looks like that, doesn't it? So Jarno Opmeer is pretty much checked out for P2. Fantastic racecraft from him. Can David Tanitsa spoil Marcel Kiefer's day even more and take that final podium away from him? So far, it looks like Nicolas Longuet is actually in the fray, could potentially take away P4 from David Tanitsa. Let's wait and see. It looks like David has to really focus for the final sector here. It looks like Marcel Kiefer has actually gained a bit of time.
He has indeed. He's going to get very close. Freddie Rasmussen's about to win this race, but David Tanitsa is going to try and move into the bus stop chicane. He goes to the inside, the Ferrari driver. They're going to be side by side into the bus stop chicane. Freddie Rasmussen wins the Belgian Grand Prix ahead of Jarno Opmeer. David Tanitsa takes the final place on the podium, and Marcel Kiefer is going to have to settle for 4th. But what a race from Freddie Rasmussen. He took the gamble. He went on intermediates. He's the only driver in the top 10 to do so, and it has absolutely worked for him.
Yeah, well done. Freddie Rasmussen, take a bow, my friend. And Jarno Opmeer, he's done it again, hasn't he? From a pretty lackluster performance with her in qualifying in P2, and David Tanitsa rounding out the top 3. What a fantastic race.
What a race. The strategy was just mind-blowing. We had a bit of a slow burner, but it kicked off at the end. But Freddie Rasmussen was certainly home and dry. 6.8 seconds, the victory margin there ahead of Jarno Opmeer. Red Bull making huge inroads. Absolutely incredible. We'll join you after the break.
Hey everyone, we're Ferrari. Welcome to the Teammate Challenge. Let's see how well me and David know each other. Well, his dream is to own a dog, but he has a cat. I'm gonna say dog.
Yeah, it was true. It was a dog. But this is not fair because we talked about this yesterday. Favorite track? It's one in the UK. I really can't remember the name, but you always mention it. It's something started with C, I think. Can I Google it? Was it called something like Crofty? Mate, you always mention that freaking track, but I can't remember the name.
I've got to say, when I won in 2018, to be honest.
No, but it was in the same year. It was my qualification at the first pro draft in 2018. And I wrote that as well. Yep. Well, the thing is, he always jokes about pineapple, but I know that he loves pepperoni pizza, the British one, I mean.
This no? Airsoft.
No, I'll give you just one more chance. I'm going against the rules.
What a kind teammate.
No, you didn't get it.
Spending time with Brendan.
It's just simply playing video games, man.
I thought you preferred me to play video games.
Okay.
Clearly not. I feel like this has been an immaculate bonding experience for both me and David. I think we're going to leave today being lovers in arms.
Welcome back after a scintillating Belgian Grand Prix. My goodness me, I don't think my voice can take much more of this, Lawrence. It's been crazy, this F1 Esports series so far. What did you make of it?
I'm amazed you've still got your voice. That was a cracker. I love those races where you don't know what tyre to start the race on, and we saw plenty of gambles made. And Rasmussen, you know, so far up the grid, gambling on that position with an intermediate, and it ultimately paid off.
It's crazy how they haven't actually taken notes from China, where we saw Jarno Opmeer come from, I think it was 14th on the grid, to winning, because he went on that intermediate strategy. But then the front 10, apart from Rasmussen, were on the wet tyres. So they thought, OK, it's going to be a bit wetter than it was in China. It wasn't. The exact same thing happened again, and Rasmussen just cleared off. It's a gamble. He could have easily been made to look pretty silly, but he made it work again.
I do wonder what was going through his mind in those early laps, because the rain was still reasonably heavy, at least enough for full wets, and everyone around him was obviously on the wets, and the Inters weren't making that much progress from those outside the top 10 who were on that tyre. So he probably thought, oh, I don't know what's going on. Tanitsu, on the other hand, probably thought, oh, I've nailed this, I've got the right tyre. And then that crossover point happened, and it changed the way the race, you know, unfolded.
I was so surprised to see that, you know, the fact that Brendan Lee, for example, was celebrating at the start. You know, he'd made some positions up, and then the strategy just went out the window, and because he had to go an extra lap with these changing conditions, he just fell completely out of contention. Here is Danny Beresne, who qualified so well, and we're going to see a slow motion where I think... I am not sure what's gone on there, whether there was a little bit of contact on his screen, and then that has just completely ruined his race. Fortunately, ghosting is enabled. Otherwise, I think that would have picked up an Aston Martin there. So really unfortunate for Danny Beresne, because, you know, he's been drafted in and out of the McLaren Shadow team. Usually he is very much, you know, the #1 driver, but he's having to go through this completely different mindset now, where he's being given opportunities, but unfortunately it hasn't worked for Monza or for Spa.
Yeah, desperately unlucky, and especially after you've done a strong qualifying, and you feel like you got the opportunity to maybe stamp your authority within the team and hopefully get some consistency. And for that to happen within, you know, a few metres is pretty devastating for him.
Oh, it really is. I feel for Danny. He's such a nice guy. I remember him actually singing in this studio. Anyway, let's focus on what happened on the last lap of this race. Of course, Marcel Kiefer clearly had worked his tyres just a little bit too hard on that Red Bull. And Jarno, who was on the same amount of length of tyres, 14 laps on those Inters, managed to get through and pull away, which was crucial. And David Tanitsu fancied a go as well. Freddie Rasmussen, we didn't see this live, but he came over the line, of course, to win comprehensively. But this move from David Tanitsu was very much a, I don't have anything to lose, I'm going to send it.
It was certainly opportunistic. He had that one last chance. He had that, you know, he was quite close on the Kemmel Straight up to Lacombe, and he didn't have enough space to get through there, but he kind of bided his time, and he could probably see that Kiefer's tyres were going a little bit off, and he was struggling for the rest of the lap. So that's probably the best thing. He just stuck behind him, bided his time, went through Blanchimont and kept close, and got the move done.
Amazing stuff. So Kiefer will probably be a little bit hurt by that, I suppose, especially when sat in P2 for so long and then thinking, OK, well, Rasmussen's in the lead, all good. If I finish P2, this is a great result for Red Bull. But then to pick yourself up and then finishing P4, we've got quite a while till the next race as well, next month. How does someone pick that up? It's a bit of a disappointment. Of course, Red Bull did get a lot of points, but losing P2 is going to be a bitter pill to swallow.
I think he's got to take the positives, really, and that he put up a really strong defence. You know, he could have gone much further down the order, and he's got off the back of securing his first win as well. So if he takes the event as a whole, I think he can probably leave here feeling pretty comfortable, and hopefully that won't knock his feelings too much going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, Marcel is very much an experienced character. After seeing that race, who else kind of maybe stuck out for you? Of course, we had obviously David Tanitsu coming back to form, which was amazing. Lucas Blakely trying to get through. Were there any that kind of sprung to mind for you?
Yeah, I think Lucas Blakely was very impressive because he made a ton of positions at the start, kept his head down as well, and didn't make any mistakes, and got that crossover point, you know, pretty well nailed. And so I think from that point of view, he's got a championship that he wants to be thinking about. And at this point of the season, you can lose points, but you can make them up. So I guess for him, he just wants to keep racking them up. And it's when it gets to the sharp end that maybe you want to be taking a few more risks. But if he just keeps scoring and keeps himself in it, the title's still up for grabs.
Yeah, strategy may have been wrong, but he made the most of, you know, that difficult strategy. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for now. I'm going to go join Mr. James Baldwin at the touchscreen once again, because this man has got analysis like no one else.
Wow.
James, again, I'm trying to recover from all of these races because it is just ridiculous. Of course, you know, it was kind of a slow burner, the Belgian Grand Prix, but at the end, it all kicked off once again.
Yeah, the one thing I can't understand why the teams that went on the full wet did that. Like, surely they would have seen, like the other teams, it was going to get drier. I'm bemused, to be honest.
Because that's the question I wanted to pose to you, because, of course, you've been in these situations. Freddie Rasmussen rolled the dice, but no one else in the top 10 put on the intermediate tyres. You do get a weather report, don't you? You know that it's going to dry out towards the end of the race.
Yeah.
What's their thinking? Do they think that it's going to be too wet for too long and then they can make that pit stop up before they come in? Or what was the thinking?
I can't understand how half the grid can go with one and see it's going to dry, and then the other half, exactly 10 cars did one and the other cars didn't do that. I'm really shocked, to be honest, but it is what it is.
So if you were in that race, you would have been whacking on a set of intermediates and...
But the guys who did it are not stupid. Like, I don't understand why they didn't choose the Inter. Like, maybe they were seeing a different forecast. I have no idea, but interesting.
That is bewildering, isn't it? Let's roll some footage in from this race. Of course, the last lap of the race. Take us through how you saw this unfolding.
This was awesome. I mean, so Marcel, at the last minute, jinked to the left, which allowed Jarno to go the inside, tries to hang him around the outside. For whatever reason, they had the same age of tyre, Marcel and Jarno, but Jarno seemed to be a lot quicker, whether Marcel burned his tyres out too early or he had no battery, I don't know. It's hard to say because he's got his rain light on, that's not the battery light, so you never know. It was a good move. It was a really good move from Jarno, and again, he's qualified 15th and 14th, but still leads the championship in this event. He just comes back in the races. Fair enough, the weather's on his side, but fair play. Okay, and what else can I talk about? So, yeah, you got Tanitsa here, who is just waiting in the wings to get Marcel. He does eventually get him back in the final chicane. And again, I was surprised that Marcel didn't defend in the final chicane as hard as I thought he would. You know, that was strange, but it was a good race.
Thank you very much, James, for that. Let's take a look at the classification provisional from the Belgian Grand Prix. Freddie Rasmussen, an absolutely dominant display at the front in that Red Bull, ahead of Jarno Opmeer, a crucial result for him in the Mercedes. David Tanitsa, P3 on the podium, he'd be very happy with that. Marcel Kiefer, Nicholas Longate in your top 5. Then it's Lucas Blakely making his way through on those fresh inters in P6. Sebastian Job back in the points again in P7. Barry Burremand in P8. Simon Weigang, the birthday boy, gets 2 points. And Joni Tormela rounds out the top 10. Now, joining us remotely, of course, is our race winner, Freddie Rasmussen. Freddie, how are you, mate? You won the Belgian Grand Prix.
I'm good. I'm very happy with that race. It was really tricky, especially on lap 1. I made the call to go on the inters at the start. It seemed like it was the wrong choice at first. Everyone was passing me and it was really difficult to keep it on track, keep the temps up. But then the weather started to change and my tires got faster and then suddenly I was in the lead.
Now talk me through that conversation that you had with your team. How much of it was a certain, right, I'm going to stick on intermediates and go for a gamble, similar to what we saw with Jarno in China, or was it quite a lot of back and forth?
It was a lot of back and forth, like, I don't know what to do, I have no idea what to do. That's what I said. And then I just decided to go for the inters. It's a 50-50.
Freddie, it's James. It's a bit weird interviewing you. Obviously, been racing you recently. At the start, when you made the decision on the strategy, was it an obvious, it's an inter race, or was it 50-50, you completely risked it, you know, to win?
Yeah, nice to see you, James. It's it was a 50-50 decision completely. I thought halfway through the race still that I was going to be last because of how slow I was in the beginning, but we got lucky.
That's awesome to hear. So, obviously, you know, you're a man of little emotion, Freddie. We've seen you win races before, and it looks like you're on a Sunday drive. How do you fancy your chances with Red Bull? That maybe, you know, it was a bit of a slow start to the season, but you're clearly picking things up. You're winning races. I know it didn't work out so well for Italy, but are you starting to maybe think the momentum's coming back?
Yeah, for sure. It seems like I always have horrible starts to any season in any game. This one was just about a lot worse than all the others I had. But it's coming back. I think we can do it again and get it 3 times in a row.
Awesome stuff. So you're pretty happy. That's safe to say. What about Marcel's race? Did you hear much from him during the race? Do you communicate much to speak about your strategies?
Yeah, we do. We communicate the whole race. He was running behind me for a while, but I think our setup was a bit too slow to keep the Mercedes behind of Jarno. And I think he lost the position in the end, but overall, it's a solid result for both of us.
Freddie, I have one question. Was Marcel angry at the end, having lost 2 positions in 1 lap?
I don't know.
Maybe. You didn't speak to him? Oh, OK. Fair enough.
Amazing stuff. Anyway, I'm sure we'll hear from Marcel, at least on social media, at the very least. But Freddie, thank you so much for chatting to us. Congratulations on your win at the Belgian Grand Prix, and we'll see you in just less than a month's time for the next event.
Thank you very much.
Awesome stuff. Great to hear from Freddie. Want to announce the DHL Fastest Lap Award goes to Danny Moreno, but unfortunately he was out of the points, so won't score any points. Over to you now, Lawrence, for the Aramco Driver of the Day.
Thank you very much, Matt. Well, for me, there's only one guy who can get this award, and that's Davide Tanitsa. For me, he put in an epic race. Of course, he started on pole and he wasn't able to transmit that into victory. But what was impressive is he didn't ever let his head drop. He kept his head, he kept his calm, and he fought through what were very difficult, challenging weather conditions. When he was lining up on the grid, he was on the wet tyre. You had next to him Rasmussen on the intermediate tyre, and he probably thought, oh, wow, have I made the right decision at this point? But he didn't make a single mistake thereafter. He kept his head. So when they pitted and he came out in 4th, he thought a podium was still possible. As he was flying through, trying to see if he could catch first Marcel Kiefer, he kept his head down, he kept in the slipstream, and when he missed out on that opportunity heading up to Les Combes, he didn't give up. He kept the car really stuck in the toe through that really difficult middle section where he's got lots of downforce, and through into the chicane, and you know what, that was the final corner. That's all he had, and he got the job done. Matt, back to you.
Perfect stuff. Let's take a look at the standings now. After all of that action, how do the drivers look? It's Jarno Opmeer, 14 points clear, ahead of Lucas Blakely. In 2nd place still, Freddie Rasmussen making some inroads up to P3, ahead of Marcel Kiefer, so the 2 Red Bull drivers in P3 and 4 in the standings. Barry Burremand still P5. Then you take a look at the 2nd page. This is where you maybe don't want to be. Brendan Lee, 11th place there. Sebastian Job has been picking up some nice points for AlphaTauri in the recent races. Daniele Haddad had a strong race as well. Simon Weigang, the birthday boy, also having a reasonably good race. And the Teams Championship, it is absolutely level pegging between Mercedes and Red Bull. Could you tease this better? I don't think so. Aston Martin still in with a shout for the next event. Lawrence, I mean, that is just beautiful, isn't it? To see both the 2 teams, Mercedes and Red Bull, that are fighting in real-life Formula 1. How have they managed to do it in esports when they've got equal cars? I don't know.
Isn't it brilliant, right, that you've got drama on both sides of the fence? In Formula 1, they've got cars that are actually very close. It's brilliant that they're able to replicate it in the virtual world. You know, how often do you see both teams on the same number of points after 6 events? It just shows how close this championship's going to be.
Absolutely. Well, the next event is coming up next month. Let me show you when that is happening. November the 24th and 25th for event number 3. We've got Portimao, Zandvoort and Austin, which is going to be an amazing event. Now, I've got to tell you, do you fancy being the next Jarno Opmeer? Well, you can take the first step of that journey straight after tonight's show if you have the F1 2021 game. Take on the in-game event with the 2021 remake of Austria, where Sainz was gaining towards the end of the Austrian Grand Prix. Can you finish P5 or can you change history and go better? So, that brings event 2 of the 2021 season to a close. Silverstone, Monza and Spa lived up to the hype and tested our drivers to their limits. We'll be back in November when the teams and drivers will resume their battle to be the latest names to be engraved on those illustrious F1 Esports trophies. Thank you to Lawrence, thank you to James, thank you to Nick Hamilton, and we'll see you very soon for the next event in November.
It is pouring pouring with rain for this Belgian Grand Prix. Freddie is dropping like a stone at the moment through turn 1, but remember, he's just going to try and hold on. Oh, the McLaren! That's Danny Beresne into the wall. There's a big crash. Might well be intermediate time, and they're all coming into the pits. Freddie Rasmussen, 5 seconds clear. Forget about him. It's all about P2. Jarno and Marcel going to be side by side through the sequence of corners, but it's going to be Jarno Opmeer who takes P2 away from Marcel Kiefer. David Tenitza takes the final place on the podium. Freddie Rasmussen wins the Belgian Grand Prix ahead of Jarno Opmeer. But what a race from Freddie Rasmussen.